Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's launch. Today, we are streaming the launch of Axiom 1. Today, I am joined as well with Miko.
Hello. I've been waiting for this mission to happen for quite a while. The first private citizen crew to go to ISS. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. This
is a great way to feel connected.
This
to
launch has someone
so-
from Greece, someone from Spain, someone from America. We have all over the world here.
Actually, there's American, Canadian,
Canadian,
Israeli, and one from Spain. So four
currently
different countries.
Yep. Currently, we are 1 hour and 16 minutes away from launch. We are currently. Let me just look here. We're just looking at some video about kind of I think it's like some of the food that they'll see on ISS. And eat in space. Miko, what would you eat in space? What would you see how something reacts in space, food wise?
I mean, if I were given a chance to pick something inspiration for, it have some pizza on the
Space
the
pizza
capsule. So that would be a good choice, but it wouldn't really last for long there. So I'm sure they have quite good, freeze-dried foods there, and I probably would be happy to eat most of those meals.
Yeah, so with that, I think it's definitely improved. They like say Apollo, where it's just little tubes and all that you got.
Yeah,
Little tubes
sure.
of food. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. I was in the military, and we did have some MREs. So we did add some water, boiled it on what would be a kind of travel pot. You light some fire under it, and it will. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean that's pretty close to what they have on the space station, but still they do have to take care that no part of the meal will fly around in space. That will be
I know that on the American side of the ISS they have little packets of food. On the Russian side they have little tin cans that they use to eat.
Yeah, I think Americans have been they usually like to eat the foreign foods from Russians or the European Space Agency. So at least 3 years ago, it was the case that the food elsewhere was better, but I'm sure they have gotten even better on the US side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As Miko said at the start of the stream, this is a groundbreaking mission. It's the first time I believe that the US has done a full private mission to the ISS.
Yeah.
This is provided by Axiom Space, and we can see our hosts on the stream here trying some MREs. I just noticed that.
Yeah.
Looks like some sort of pasta.
Okay, there's some porks too. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they have vegan options in space.
I suppose it depends on like I bet like they customize the food on the ground compared to the astronauts' tolerances. So I believe it's most
I
like
do think they, specialize the foods for each passenger, and vegan would be the only way our Mr. Producer would be able to go to space.
Yes. Mm.
Right, so Jack, what do you know about today's booster and the capsule?
2 seconds, I'm just eating.
Yeah, well, I can
Other
go
food,
ahead.
I know. I'll answer that. So this capsule is Endeavour, and has flown several missions already. It's not a brand new capsule; it's been refurbished by SpaceX. All 4 of SpaceX's capsules are now they've stopped production of 2 capsules because
Yeah.
they aim to refurbish the capsules. Keep on saying capsules. The booster has flown 4 times already, so this is a flown booster. It's not a brand new booster. The only flown booster that they've actually did was that Demo 2. It was the only flown booster. I believe so. I'm not particularly sure.
Yeah, I think so. And this capsule has indeed flown twice before. The first time was the Demo 2 mission with Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley, which the Netflix documentary that came out yesterday was about. Have you already checked that one?
2 seconds. I swear I've heard this got flown 4 times, but I'll check. Do you know the name of this booster? Is it 1041 or I'm just trying to think.
Not sure.
I believe this.
Yeah, one of our patrons, Stinger, would probably know.
Okay,
this.
Right, okay. Fifth flight, okay. So that's flown 4 times, right, okay. Right, so this booster is flying for the 5th time. It has flown several missions before, such as GPS missions. Yep, also Starlink missions, along with 2 GPS missions. And this also carried another revolutionary capsule. This booster, this carried inspiration for this booster.
Yeah, I think this will become a historic booster that has flown the first private missions to space. Maybe we will see it some museum at some point.
I've got a question about these boosters. Do you think, since they're this like pure scrapping them, do you think they would end up just going, do you need that expendable booster?
I mean, I think the booster that first flew Bob and Duck, that will be somewhere in a museum, and maybe this booster as well. But in the end, some of these boosters will probably be scrapped.
Yeah, well, scrapped, expended. Yeah,
Falcon. Or they can be made into Falcon Heaviside boosters.
Yeah.
If there are expendable missions.
Talking about Falcon Heavy, there's a mission coming up soon. It keeps on getting delayed. It's for the US. Oh, it's for the Air Force. I believe the center core will be expended in that mission. The side boosters will land.
Yep. And in the chat, hello Suzette. And if anyone has questions, please ask them in the comments.
Absolutely. I mean, the Falcon Heavy launch, what kept on getting pushed back. It was January at one point, but it's now June. I think it's payload readiness they're waiting on.
Yeah, that could be. And are you excited for the Falcon Heavy missions?
Yes, it's the first mission. I think it's the first I'll see live since I was a space fan. Well, see on stream, obviously. Then we have
Psyche mission. Yeah, the Psyche mission will be in August this year. Flying.
There's a lot of Falcon Heavy. There's a lot of Falcon Heavy launches this year. I heard, yeah. Question: is the center core expanded on that one? I'm not exactly sure with that one. It's crazy how the side cores.
Center cores will almost always be, they won't be reusable.
It's crazy how the two sides boosters are kind of acting like SRBs for the center core. When you think about it. We have a number from Mr. Producer. There's five Falcon Heavy missions planned until the end of 2022. We haven't had that much altogether yet. It's all about fairing size, I believe, because the fairing size to weight doesn't, because obviously if it's going to weigh more, it's most likely going to be bigger. And it's a normal Falcon.
Well, when you think about it, the first flight was in 2018, and since there has been 2 launches, and well, I mean the U.S. Space Force, they wouldn't want to fly an unproven rocket, so they probably checked out the first launch, and only now they do know that they can launch a vehicle that can take over 60,000 kilograms to the orbit.
Yeah, I do believe there's actually some few expansions heading for Falcon 9. There's going to develop extended fairing for the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy.
Yeah, they will be using the extended fairings for some of the Space Force missions, and also they will be using the vertical assembly building.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, they're using that vertical because currently only Falcon 9 can be integrated horizontally, while the most of the US's government payloads can only be integrated vertically.
Yeah, I think it's a weird requirement from years back, and since the payloads are usually multiple $100 million, they just won't change it, even though they could probably do it otherwise.
Yeah. I'm trying to watch this advert that they're showing. It's very weird. Great. So this mission this mission here, is it a 14-day mission, I believe? Is it?
Well, I did read today from Twitter that it would be 8 days.
Or 8 days, right? Okay.
Yeah, but
then,
if the weather is bad, they could end up being a few more days there. Since
that's saving some money.
Since there will be the Crew 4 mission later this month, so they have to get back on Earth before that, and they have to evaluate the data from this light before they can launch Crew 4.
I don't know
think
what
it
I find
was
so.
around 20th
I don't.
of April now.
I don't. Oh, it's John. It's John Innsbrucker. Let's go, the man himself.
Yeah.
I don't know what I find so satisfying about that crew arm retracting when it does. I don't know why
Sorry?
I find it so satisfying. Sorry, what is it?
Up on the Dragon capsule, you can see the crew access arm. The seal from the white room has actually been deflated. You can see it's pulled away a little bit. We're getting ready for the advanced team to leave the pad at about T-minus 1 hour.
You do wonder.
So
see that
they're on
little
track
like
right
it,
now
see
to
it. You
close
can
out.
see
We
it. See
did
the
have a
top of
good
the transporter
side
stand.
Side hatch leak check.
You
And
can
so we're doing just
see
the
like a
very
kind of
last
is it like a
steps
tow
to,
hitch?
get the capsule ready for flight. And then
Is that
leave
like
the
with a
pad.
tow?
And of
If
course,
you
in the
see, like, see if you
background, as
look
can
right
see
at the
on
top of it,
monitors or on
the
your
transporter.
screens,
Say again.
blue skies over
See if you look at
Kennedy
the top of the
Space Center,
transporter.
Pad 39A.
Mhm.
Weather's looking good.
It looks like
both
a
in the
tow
local
hitch.
area, as well as when we head northeast towards the space station, the ascent trajectory looks good.
I
So
saw
at
it before,
T-minus
but I
1
wasn't
hour and 2
particularly sure.
minutes, all systems are go.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be.
Right. So
That is.
I think the next important milestone will be around T-minus 40, T-minus 35 minutes when they decide to go for fuel up and arm the launch escape system on the capsule.
Yep. That is one dirty booster.
Yeah.
Crazy how this pad used to be a shuttle pad. The only remnants you can really see of it is that like the little thing that sticks out the side. That's where the rotating servo structure used to sit.
Yeah, SpaceX really overhauled the place, the launch
Yeah.
ground, to look pretty nice. And also the Apollo missions in the 60s and 70s launched from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good afternoon, Justini. Yeah, B1062.
Have you watched a Netflix documentary yet? Is it Road to Space?
I did. I can
watched
recommend
it
it
last
to
night.
everyone.
There's a few things that will annoy you. So basically, see when I talk about Challenger, they reworded that from like a major malfunction to a major catastrophe for some reason.
Well, that's just to, give the understanding how difficult and how dangerous it can be to launch and land a rocket and a capsule.
It was quite cool, some of the insider stuff that we saw, like inside the control rooms.
Yeah.
The weather looks beautiful. I believe we are still being on the range. Yeah,
I think it's a 90% go for weather.
Yep. Oh, do you think the iPads they're holding are like? It'll just be like checklists, I believe. Yeah. I remember on Inspiration 4 that Chris was watching Spaceballs on one of the iPads just before the re-entry.
Yeah, I think it was Chris Zembrowski who was watching a movie right before landing on Inspiration 4 mission.
I believe also, see some of these windows, you see they're black. The windows on the right. It's like blacked out.
Hmm?
That's not actually a window in what used to be a window, but because of NASA's requirements, it ended up getting blocked off.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think they don't have any windows on the cargo dragons.
No, they don't. They also don't have a boat systems. Can you see after like Crew Dragons stop the they go past like this say 5 flight lifespan, or even if they go above that? Do you think they'll turn around to cargo dragons, but then just make the abort system inactive?
Well, cargo dragons don't have the escape system at all. But
Yeah.
I do think SpaceX can you reuse over 5 times if necessary. I mean,
Yeah.
they will just have to replace some parts.
See after
And-
they be like see after its crew lifespan where they don't want to fly crew around anymore because they like how many times it's flown. Maybe they
Yeah.
could like change some of these capsules to cargo.
I mean, I think they have
I know.
enough people to fly on the Dragon, so they don't really have to change these into cargo dragons. But
Yeah.
I mean, if it happens to be like that, I mean, sure. But I do think they will ask NASA to allow using Starship as soon as possible.
Yeah. See
So
this Michael
that would take-
Lopez.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that may take over the cargo dragon completely
Right.
before crew
Uh,
dragon.
Yeah. About this crew, this one is Michael Lopez Ajira. He has flown an
Michael
STS
Lopez
73.
Alegria.
Alright, okay. STS 93 and STS 113 in a Soyuz mission. This one is a pilot. He is from Ohio. He's an entrepreneur and he does well.
Yep.
Yeah.
We can also listen into the stream as they tell about these persons.
I'm quite looking forward.
All
to
right,
seeing
so just
like
some
Peggy
back
Whitson
and
go
forth
to
with
the ISS.
SpaceX core Arthur Burial and the crew, continuing
He's going
to
with
work
Axiom
through our
2, I
procedures.
believe.
Ultimately, next check will be to make sure that the crew inside Dragon
Also,
Endeavour
Tom
are
Cruise
go
could
for
go on a
launch.
future mission to film a movie on
Back
the
to
ISS,
our
just like
pilot,
the
Larry
Russians
Connor. As I said, he will
Yeah,
also
I
become the
think that
first
will
human
happen
to
at some
reach
point.
both the deepest ocean
It's
depths
been
and
a
enter the
bit
bounds
on
of
the
outer
back
space
burner,
within
so
1 year.
we haven't really heard
That's just
much
crazy to
about
me. Larry has
Yeah.
been actively involved with the Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic for many years, helping to understand the effects of aging. This mission will add a new dimension.
Go for launch.
I just heard go for
Copy that,
launch.
Endeavour. Crews go for launch.
We'll go for lunch at
All
this point in
right,
time.
so
then,
that
and
is
get ready for
fantastic
uploading.
news. That's basically
Crews go
4
right,
thumbs
okay.
up inside
Crew just says
Crew
nope,
Dragon right now.
Just like kind
Yeah,
of like
so really good news there.
Yeah.
get scared at the last moment.
Continuing out our crew, moving on to
I
Mission
think that's
Specialist 1,
unlikely to
Eitan
happen,
Stiba will become the second Israeli
in
ever to
some
fly to
other
space. In many ways, today's mission is a return to flight for the nation of Israel
it is.
after the
Rough for the
Columbia
day.
tragedy in 2003. Eitan served for more than 4 decades as a fighter pilot in the Israeli Air Force, where he received the Distinguished Aviator Medal, and today he is an impact investor and philanthropist. In collaboration with the Ramon Foundation, the Israel Space Agency, and the Ministry of Innovation, Science and
Yeah,
Technology,
that's
and the
what
Ministry
they
of
do.
Education,
About
Stiebel will fly to the
someone, like,
ISS under the
kind of
Rakia banner and the
get scared of
maxim,
last
there is no
moment.
dream beyond reach. During his time
It's
on the
like before you go on a
ISS,
roller
Stiebel will
coaster.
facilitate scientific experiments, educational outreach, and one of
Yeah,
my
it's
personal
interesting
favorites,
to see
artistic
Israelis
activities.
fly again.
Mark Pathy is an entrepreneur,
Aidan Stiba.
investor, and philanthropist,
Since-
as well
I
as
think
mission
it was the
specialist
last-
number
Pathy.
2 on this AX-1 mission.
Yeah, it was the
Mission
last-
Pathy is
specialist.
currently the chief executive officer and chairman of Montreal-based Maverick, a privately owned investment and financing company he founded that focuses on innovation and social impact. As a strong believer in the importance of philanthropy, Pathy is a member of the boards and executive committees of the Montreal Children's Hospital Foundation, Dans LaRue, and the Pathy Family Foundation. Through the AX-1 mission, Pathy will become Canada's second private astronaut and the 12th Canadian to go to space.
Who was back up on Demo 2.
All right, well, you've seen the vehicle, you've met the crew, you've heard some good calls on our way to launch, and we're just within the hour. So let's send you over now to NASA's Johnson Space Center, where Dan Hewitt is following the launch prep from Mission Control in Houston. Dan, over to you.
No, Demo 2, sorry. Yeah. Surprised he's not flown by now, but he's all trained. He was back up to those two.
I think one of them was Kjell Lindström, who's actually flying on Crew 4, I think.
Yeah. There was a debate before this, would the astronauts walk out SpaceX's own facility, or would they walk out the checkout and operations building by NASA since it's got the ISS? But they did actually walk out the SpaceX building.
On this July 20th, 1969.
I just thought because they go to the ISS, so.
Yeah, NASA will be involved in the operations, of course. After, SpaceX will hand over the crew to NASA when they get to the space station.
Yeah. Imagine the amount of background checks into doing these astronauts NASA does before they go to the ISS.
Yeah. Okay, so I just checked the timeline. So T minus 45 minutes, we will get the go for propellant load. And T minus 37 minutes, launch escape system will be armed.
Yeah.
Yeah, this crew is going to do quite a bit of science on ISS with the other astronauts. So that's pretty cool.
What kind of, see if you were like, what music would you get playing? On like, say, in the capsule, or say in like your road to the pad?
Well, at some point I would be listening to Nightwish.
I would play Rocket Man a few times in my playlist.
Yeah, but I would certainly have some heavy metal music there.
Imagine just in the capsule and just belting out to Rocket Man. I like Sweet Caroline. I just start here singing along.
Yeah.
It's just like a tune inside the capsule, because it'd be quite a good, since it's all sealed, it'd be quite a good recording studio.
Yeah. In the chat, Suzette is saying, I always say when I'm able to see Earth from space, I can then die because there's nothing more beautiful to see.
Yeah.
Deep words. It would be really nice to see the Earth from space.
We are currently needing crew access arm retract.
That will be at T minus 42 minutes.
Yep, so we're 7 minutes away. Can you send me this timeline quickly so I know I'm on track?
Yeah, so at 45 minutes...
Oh, thank you, Mr. Producer.
There's the propellant load. Then at 42 minutes, crew access arm retract. 37 minutes, escape system arming. And at 35 minutes, RP1 load will begin. And after that, there will be the LOX load for first and second stages.
It's Bell.
Yeah, and at T minus 7 minutes, Falcon 9 will begin engine chill. Yeah,
Yep.
at this point, it's pretty much like a normal Falcon 9 launch.
He's got. I've noticed Bill Nelson has such like a Texas. Is it Texas accent? I'm not even sure
Yeah.
he's wrong.
Yeah, let's listen in.
Space on a commercial space station instead of having the responsibility of the space station.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that because I know that we've seen success with commercial cargo.
Commercial
missions,
space
commercial
station,
orbital
yes,
missions.
absolutely.
All commercial stations next.
Indeed. That's what we're doing today. We are bringing a commercial company to our ISS. We are then going to have them attach a commercial module to the International Space Station. And then we're encouraging the building. We've got initiatives out there in private industry.
Who's launching
right
the
now,
modules?
to
Is
build a
it
commercial
Falcon
space
9?
station. And then all of our international partners on the space
Say
station,
again?
we're taking with us.
Who? I actually don't know who's
to,
launching the
for
modules. I
example,
believe it might be Falcon 9 with extended fairing.
which is like a space station in lunar orbit. Is
Well,
going to be a
not
number
much
of
known
missions,
is about
landing on
the
the
extended
moon.
fairing,
We're going to have other
Yeah.
other than
nations
it's a bit longer.
participate as well.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of partnerships going forward with NASA to accomplish some of the big goals.
Yeah,
they
as I
have.
said, it's
Well,
very
as it
windy
should
out
be,
there.
because our program is internationally.
It's not
And
bad.
when we
I
go to
kind of see it's a breeze out there in the sun.
There's going to be a delegation from planet Earth.
Are you excited for today's launch?
Oh, is the Pope Catholic?
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Administrator. I really appreciate you being here.
I didn't know
and
he
enjoy
said
today's
that.
launch.
Thanks a lot.
All right, back to you guys at Hawthorne.
You know what he said though?
We're at T-minus 46 minutes, 10 seconds. We've just heard from the SpaceX launch director.
He said, Bill Nelson just said, the commentator said, are you excited for launch? And Bill Nelson said, is the Pope Catholic? I had a whole told, but he's just explaining. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Launch control will be hands-off and relying on automated abort criteria for the remainder of the count. Operators advise the launch
Yep.
director whether structural breakup or
All right, let's listen in so we can hear about the prop load.
For those operators in firing up 4, in the event of a fire alarm, key operators noted in 57.83 will remain at their post while the alarm is evaluated. In the event that personnel safety is threatened, evacuate to the south-facing emergency exit, which leads directly outside. Firing up 4
Basically,
and
I'm not
MCCX
seeing
will go into a sterile cockpit and lock down for the duration of the time the launch escape system is armed. Launch control at this time, you may proceed with arming the crew arm for movement.
Over that, arming crew arm for movement.
T-minus 45 minutes and counting. You've just heard the SpaceX launch director give the final execution instructions to the launch
Crew
team.
access arm retraction started.
We're ready for propellant load. That'll
Okay,
begin
we're
in about
getting
10
ready
minutes.
for
Before that, we've got
retracting.
crew access arm to retract happening now, and then arming of the launch escape system. Everything continues to look good for an on-time launch of Falcon
She was a
9
bit of
with
using
Axiom
that.
1 mission.
There we go.
Yeah, the arm is actually moving pretty fast.
Dragon SpaceX for tablets.
Yeah. You can see like a little dome at the end of the crew access
As
arm.
we prepare to step into LES arming, I need you to verify that the elastic bands are over the corners of all of the iPads in the vehicle.
All right, so looks like iPads need to be
Elastic bands.
secured before arming
Yep,
the launch
launch as well.
escape system.
Makes sense. You don't want iPads to go belting you
Yeah.
on the top of the face.
Yeah.
Would that make you see because of the G's that are pulled in a launch escape? Would that make you weightless for a few seconds?
Yeah, very exciting indeed.
All right, copy that. Thank you, MLA.
I don't
And
want
for
it to
awareness,
happen,
that
though.
last call came in pretty quiet, so if you could speak up on the upcoming calls, that'd be great. Thanks.
It's just me, but see if you're in the mission specialist seats, you feel like you'd be like pure peeking around to try and look at what the commander and pilot's seeing.
Yeah. But at least the mission specialists have better view outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Those screens look really cool. But I feel like I'd end up my phone would like.
Okay, we'll give you an update here. Inside of 43 minutes, crew access arm has retracted from the Dragon spacecraft. Next up, we've got launch escape system arming.
Are you sure?
And at T-minus 45 minutes, or T-minus 35 minutes, we'll begin loading propellant onto the Falcon 9. So right now, Falcon 9s go, Dragons go. Weather looks good, and the range areas are also cleared for launch. So Kate, John, everything is looking good.
And it probably has a question saying, "Are you sure?"
Yes. See the launch escape system? Did that not used to be black painted underneath, like where the flame comes out? It's now white.
Where?
See where the launch escape system is, where the Dracos are? Did that not...
Inside of 42 minutes.
Seems like it has...
Everything continues to go well. Yeah. Waiting now for launch escape system arming.
Or like dark silver.
Yeah. I wonder if the watches need to be certified to work in 0G so the watch doesn't, the glass doesn't crack. Like during launch or something.
Like how?
Endeavour, SpaceX for launch.
The glass on the watch. The launch escape is armed.
All right, MLA, at this time I can give you a go to step through section 7 of 4.100, close visors and arm the launch escape system.
Right, so they are closing the visors.
Are you sure you'd like to escape the Falcon 9? Are you sure? Yeah.
Yeah.
SpaceX Endeavour, visors are closed. We are arming the launch escape system.
Yeah, Suzette, that would be my dream too. A Dragon flight with Elon Musk. Looks like my friend Jack dropped for some reason. So within a couple of minutes, the launch escape system should be armed. The crew is now working on it.
Dragon, SpaceX, launch escape system is verified armed.
Well, there we have the confirmation.
Copy, SpaceX.
All right, there you heard it. The launch escape system is now armed. You can see there the crew in their seats with the visors down. Launch escape system, is the first of its kind escape system. It provides escape capability all the way to orbit. It's a really important function to have. Obviously, no intention of using it today, but that's what those call-outs were there back and forth that we just heard.
Right, and as we heard earlier too from Administrator Bill Nelson, the importance of low Earth orbit. So speaking of just how valuable low Earth orbit is, the crew of AX-1 will be conducting a tremendous amount of science over the course of their 8 days on board the ISS. And not only does that include 25 Axiom-managed studies, but it also includes the Axiom crew participating in efforts that extend far beyond this mission. Some of those we actually looked at earlier. One of these broader studies is a series of health monitoring tests before and after the flight. A few days ago, I was able to connect with Dr. Emmanuel Riqueta to talk about the ongoing research this crew will participate in on behalf of the Translation Research Institute for Space Health, also known as TRISH. Here's our conversation.
Dr. Riqueta, welcome. It is wonderful to get to talk to you. Please introduce yourself and tell us, what is TRISH?
Absolutely. My name is Emmanuel Riqueta, and I'm the Chief Medical Officer at the Translational Research Institute for Space Health. And I'm also faculty at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas. The Translational Research Institute for Space Health, or TRISH, we're partners to the Human Research Program at NASA. And one of our main goals is to find and fund new disruptive research that is high risk but potentially high reward, with the end goal of keep humans healthy both in space and on Earth. And we have been working with commercial spaceflight missions since last year, and Axiom 1 is our 4th commercial spaceflight mission.
That's really fascinating. Can you tell us a little bit more about your primary areas of focus or what you're studying on this mission?
Yeah, so TRISH focuses mainly on the high priority areas of human spaceflight research. And I would say the 3 highest priority areas are radiation, behavioral issues that come from being isolated and confined in space. And the third one is how your body changes while you're in a different gravity field, either a zero-G environment like in space, or during different gravity fields when you are in the moon or Mars.
Okay, interesting. So what kind of systems or hardware are you working with specifically to capture this data?
For this mission, the hardware that we're using is absolutely optimized to provide, number one, the highest quality data, while being still easy to use, easy to implement, and being the lowest burden to the astronauts. So to collect all of this data, for example, vision changes, we have been using a small device, is roughly the size of a shoebox that you can see here. I have this here with me. So this is basically like having an optometrist on a box. Basically, the only thing that you have to do is just grab it, put it on your eyes, look at an object that is roughly 6 feet away from you, and after a few seconds, you get a prescription of your glasses as right here. So as I was saying, if there's any changes on astronauts during these missions, we'll be able to see how that changes with this device. We're also looking, I was mentioning, at behavioral changes, how being in an isolated and confined environment has any behavioral aspects. And for this one, we have been using a small tablet like this one, also to test the sensory motor adaptation, the balance disorders, and the space motion sickness. We're using a device like this.
So Justin
and
is
for each of
asking
the
about
crew members, we have a set of
AX1
hardware
mission.
like this, and
How long
it
it will
fits.
last?
The
So
4 sets of hardware
I read today
fits
that
on
they will
a
be
medium-sized
staying
suitcase. So it is really easy to move
ISS for
wherever it
about
needs to
8
go
days,
for launch
and
and landing.
that can
That's
be
wonderful.
delayed
So
by
what are some of the
weather.
intended
So
outcomes
they
or
will be
goals of the
looking
research
into
you're
the
doing?
landing weather. They don't really have
Yeah,
much
so some of the outcomes
explanation
and one of
for it.
the main
So it might be a
applications,
little bit
number
longer,
one for
but then
spaceflight
they will
that we want to get from
land,
this research
and then there's the
is
Crew 4
that short
mission
duration missions
where you
like
have to
Axiom
evaluate
1
the data
are very, very
of
relevant
it.
in the context of Artemis
And
missions.
the
When we go back to
onboard
the moon, the
mission
first
is
missions are going to be roughly the
after
same duration
20th
as
of
Axiom 1.
this month.
So anything new that we learn from these missions is going to be
And
absolutely valuable.
Axiom
Really,
is
every new piece
indeed
of data that we collect in
the new
spaceflight could
partner
potentially
of
solve and be that
ISS,
last
but
piece
this
of the puzzle that
mission
we're looking
isn't
to
really
complete what we
about
need to know.
Well, Dr.
space
Riqueta, thank
station
you so much for
station.
speaking with us today. We wish you the
This
best
is
of luck.
just for
It is my pleasure. Thank you.
the private crew.
All right, we
or
are about
people
30 minutes
who are
out
prepared
from launch of the
for
historic
private
AX-1 mission.
persons to
It has
go
taken an enormous effort from an incredibly dedicated and hardworking team to get to this moment. And that team wanted to take an opportunity to wish the crew of AX-1 well and Godspeed.
Hey X1, we're so happy for you guys and just want to let you know we've got you here.
And I'm sure Axiom will be flying many more astronauts in future. Yeah, 4 rich billionaires going to space. At least Axiom Axiom 1 will be, attending the science on the station. They will take some science up to the station. I don't exactly know what science, but they will be helping out with the crew. Okay, about the first modules to be sent to the ISS, I think that's still years away. I don't remember seeing even a date. So I would say definitely after the moon landing, but before the decade is out. Yeah, as I said, darn it, they never ask. Yeah, Justin, that sounds like a real plan. Get the billionaires to pay for the development of the new ISS modules.
To the first all-private astronaut mission to the International Space Station. A few minutes ago, Falcon 9 propellant loading began on time at T-minus 35 minutes. RP-1 fuel loading is underway on both the first and second stages. Liquid oxygen loading is underway on the first stage. Now we'll finish up fuel loading on the second stage at about T-minus 20 minutes. Doesn't take very long. And then we'll begin loading liquid oxygen on the second stage at about T-minus 16 and a half minutes. We'll continue propellant loading on Falcon 9 up until about T-minus 2 minutes. Now, speaking of propellants, the Dragon spacecraft was loaded with its propellants about a week and a half ago, just a few miles down the road from the launch site at what we call Dragonland. In order to fly, Dragon needs a fuel and an oxidizer.
Start of stage 1 cryohelium loading.
For the fuel, we use monomethylhydrazine, or MMH, and nitrogen tetroxide, or NTO, for oxidizer. Now together, these propellants feed the Draco engines that will maneuver Dragon on orbit, changing its attitude, raising its orbit to get to the space station. But that propellant also serves a second purpose, and that would be to use in the 8 Super Draco engines that would power the launch escape system in an escape scenario. But right now on pad 39A, nice view of Falcon 9 with Dragon there. You can see the crew access arm has retracted away from the Dragon spacecraft. The 4-person crew is inside Dragon right now. The launch escape system is armed. Propellant is going into the Falcon 9. So since we are at this stage with launch escape system armed, that means the 8 Super Draco engines inside the Crew Dragon are ready, if needed, to launch the capsule away from the Falcon 9 rocket in an instant, should there be any kind of emergency associated with the rocket or the pad. We have the ability to use a launch escape system right now if it was needed. A couple other status items. Weather, as you can see, looks good. Probability of violating the launch commit criteria is less than 10%. The only thing we're watching is wind gusts, but we believe, having seen the wind for the last several hours, everything continues to look good. That should not be an issue. Weather is also good in the Atlantic Ocean should we need to use a launch escape splashdown site for the Dragon capsule. We've also got upper altitude winds we've been checking out. Balloons have been released by the range here recently. We continue to look good for upper altitudes as Falcon 9 flies through the periods of maximum dynamic pressure. And finally, on the range, of course, we have cleared the danger areas, the hazard, the caution areas. Everybody's out of there except the 4-person crew up in the Dragon capsule, very top of the rocket you can see in the picture. So coming up, T-minus 28 minutes, 30 seconds, everything continuing to look good on Falcon 9 with Dragon for the Axiom 1 mission.
Let's take a moment now to get acquainted with the vehicles that you see there on your screen. That's a live view of Falcon.
Okay, so there we had the update from John. And Justin has a couple
On
of
top,
questions.
together stands about 215
He's
feet,
wondering
which is
if
almost
the
30 feet taller than the Leaning
space
Tower of Pisa
station
in Italy.
research will be less when there will be
183 feet.
more private people up there. But I do think the companies will pay top dollar for research. So
talking a bit about that first stage.
research
The first stage
should
is the bottom
and
2/3
will be
of the
done
vehicle that you see
in
there.
future
As a
as well.
patina, it's been reused a little bit. It's
I
covered
mean,
soot
it has
from a previous
gotten
mission.
really,
That first stage is
really
responsible for
popular
accelerating
within the
Falcon
last
and
few
Dragon
days.
through the Earth's atmosphere
Not
and
few
into
days,
space.
but years.
To do that, it has 9 Merlin engines at the bottom of that first stage.
And
Prior
of
to
course,
liftoff,
with the
Falcon 9
private
first
space
stage is
station,
loaded up
they
with
will
nearly 1 million
always be
pounds of
trying
fuel
to
and
get
liquid
more money
oxygen.
out of it.
And the Merlin engines on the first stage are
It,
optimized for
it will
sea
be
level.
difficult to make
These
it
achieve
profitable, so we will be
190,000
seeing
pounds of thrust
quite a
during
bit of
ascent and descent.
NASA money going in
The first
there.
stage accelerates the vehicle through the Earth's atmosphere into space and then separates the rest of the rocket at about 2.5 minutes into flight.
From there, the first stage will do
And
what
I
no
would
other
think
orbital class
NASA will
rocket in
always
the
be
world can
involved
do.
somehow.
It'll make its way back to Earth and target a landing on our drone ship, a
The
short fall of
gateway
gravitas, which you
will
see there on your
probably
screen.
be
The
completed
seas
sometime
look great.
after
The blue skies, I don't
the
think it could
first
be any more
lunar
picture
missions.
perfect.
No, it's like a
We
desktop right there.
don't really think we'll be
Our
seeing
drone
for
ships
the
are
first
essentially
one.
autonomous,
And
powered
it won't
spaceports that
be
allow our rocket to land
permanently
over the ocean.
occupied.
For reference,
So
our drone ships are equivalent to
science
the
on
size of a
there,
football field. So while it may have looked kind
it
of
may
small on
not
your
be
screen, they're actually
done that
pretty
often.
ginormous in real life.
It's got to be to hold a rocket, right? As mentioned previously, Falcon 9 is a 2-stage rocket. It's 2 rockets in one. Above the first stage is the second stage. Now, the second stage has a single Merlin vacuum, or MVAC, engine, which ignites after the first stage separates.
Cryo-helium loading.
Right,
Now,
we
the
do
second
have
stage
a
is essentially a
comment
smaller
from
version of
Suzette.
the first stage, and whereas the first stage is designed
She
to power the
doesn't
vehicle out of Earth's
honestly
atmosphere
believe
and the forces of
that
gravity, the second stage is
space
specifically
journeys
designed to
will
operate in the vacuum
be
of
possible
space.
for
The
normal
second stage
people
powers the
ever.
Dragon spacecraft to its
I do kind of
targeted
think
drop-off
that at
point in
some
orbit.
point with the
The Dragon
Starship,
spacecraft is capable of
if you
carrying
want
up to
to
7
move to
passengers
Mars,
to and
that
from
will be
Earth orbit
possible.
and beyond.
You'll just have
But for
to
today's
sell
mission,
all
it is
your
carrying 4
possessions
members of
and
the Axiom 1 crew.
maybe
It is the first private
kind of have
spacecraft to take humans to
take
the
some
space
loan
station, and
so
the
you can
only
get
spacecraft
on board
currently
and
flying
paid
that is
off with
capable of
work on
returning
Mars.
significant amounts of cargo to Earth. Like the Falcon 9 rocket, the Dragon spacecraft is also reusable. Today will be the 3rd flight to space for this Dragon spacecraft that the Axiom 1 crew is flying in today. The previous flights for this capsule supported were recently the Crew 2 mission, and before that, the
Yeah, good
Demo
comment
2
from
mission,
Justini.
which was
Millionaires
our
and
first
billionaires
human
won't
spaceflight
be
mission.
doing
Pretty incredible.
all the
Now,
work
as
that's
we
needed
await
on
T0 and
on
just under
the
25
longer
minutes,
space
the
missions
ground
for
operations
Mars.
teams are doing
For
a series
example,
of
Mars.
system checks to make sure both Dragon and Falcon 9 are ready for launch. Let's
Right,
take a
okay,
look
I am
at
back.
what the
Sorry
ascent
about
portion
that.
of this mission will look like.
Welcome back.
Right, so once we hit T-0,
Yep.
we will watch
My
Falcon 9
Wi-Fi
and
just said
Dragon
nope,
lift off
I'm
from
out,
historic launch pad 39A
and just refused to
and make
start for about 5
At about
minutes.
50 seconds into flight, Falcon 9's
All
engines
good,
will
all
throttle
good.
down to
All
help
good.
pass through the period of maximum dynamic pressure on the rocket.
That's a good
or what we
timeline.
typically refer to as max Q. It's worth noting that once we hit max Q, the vehicle will be going supersonic.
Once we're through the period of maximum dynamic pressure, we can throttle up our Merlin engines again.
Okay, so next up in the timeline will be at T-minus 16 minutes. The second stage logs will begin loading. So that's still some time away.
In preparation for stage separation, which, as the name suggests, that is where the first stage detaches from the second stage, with the first stage making its way back to Earth for landing as the second stage continues on its journey with the third event.
Yeah, Justin, indeed, their money will be needed, but they won't be doing the work.
And propels the second stage along with our AX-1 crew into orbit. As stage 2 heads towards its targeted drop-off orbit, stage 1 will execute 2 burns in order to make its way back to Earth. The first stage is the entry
Constant
burn.
expansion on Mars bases and maintenance will be
in preparation for entry back into Earth's atmosphere.
Daily.
While the first stage is heading back to Earth, the second stage will cut off its singular Merlin engine that was ignited right after stage separation. Once this happens, we'll wait for confirmation of good orbital insertion.
Sounds like a great plan,
About 90
Suzette.
seconds after Dragon gets into orbit, Falcon 9 will land back on Earth. The landing burn, which is a single engine burn, will bring the vehicle's speed down rapidly in order to land on the drone ship at about 9.5 minutes into the mission.
And while Falcon 9's first stage is landing, Dragon is preparing to separate from the second stage. About 5 minutes after the second stage gets into orbit, we should have a great view of Dragon with its 4-person crew drifting away from the second stage.
Yep, you can do that. I will skip that.
Continues to increase separation distance from the second stage.
Right.
And lastly, the nose cone deploy sequence will initiate just before T plus 12 minutes and finish around T plus 15 minutes. And this sequence will expose Dragon's docking mechanism.
Do you think, see the nose cone hatch? Do you think that?
It's a pretty jam-packed 12
See, because like, is it just like an airplane where they can't own it because of the pressure on the outside and they can only own it in ISS?
With all of that in mind, let's head back over
say again.
Hewitt for an update from the
See,
ISS
for the nose cone, like the docking hatch.
Thanks, Kate. Now, inside the room, the International Space Station Flight Control...
Well, the nose cone will open a few minutes after reaching orbit.
No, yeah, but see the hatch. Do you think that's like an airplane where you can't open it unless the pressure's stabilized?
The space station was go for launch. Now, to get there,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Like, you can only open it in ISS. That's probably why they have to depress the capsule when they're doing Polaris.
So we're looking at everything from those core critical command
Yeah,
and control computers.
yeah, that will be interesting to see how it actually happens.
I think they'll need to depress the capsule so every crew member's in a suit, but 2 go outside.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to that mission.
We're expecting
Yeah.
today's flight to be about a 20.5-hour journey from launch to docking, with the Crew Dragon Endeavour headed towards the Node 2 Zenith. That's the space-facing port on the top of Node 2, the Harmony module on board the station. And once they get there, they're going to get welcomed by the Expedition 67 crew, which is made up of 7 individuals right now, 4 from our SpaceX through Crew 3 mission with 3 NASA astronauts and 1 ESA European astronaut. And they're joined by 3 cosmonauts that just arrived on station about 2 weeks ago. Now, so it's going to take them about 20.5 hours to get there. That docking right now is targeted for 11:45 GMT on Saturday. That's 6:45 a.m. here in Houston, 4:45 for the teams over.
We're getting there T-minus 20 minutes.
So once they get there, they'll be able to get out of their suits on board the Dragon spacecraft.
Not long anymore.
While the team
Nope.
on board station moves into what's known as the hatch operations. Station Commander Tom Marchand is going to be pressurizing that small area between Dragon and the station hatches. We expect it to be a little under 2 hours from docking to hatch open, and then we'll welcome the AX-1 crew on board the space station. So a lot to come with that 20.5-hour journey, but all that's going to start with a launch. So I'll send it back over to Hawthorne as we get into the final phases of the countdown. Back over to you, John.
Right. Well, Dan, as you mentioned, it all starts with the launch. And Kate, it's looking like it's getting pretty busy here. People are excited about seeing a launch, right?
Yeah, we're just now under 20 minutes until liftoff. As you can probably tell by the noise, the crew
We are quite excited as well.
We're at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California, is starting to gather just beyond mission control here in the building, and you might be able to tell by the
So tell us in the comments how excited are you?
Let's go! Come on. I miss the old SpaceX control room. It was so like. This one's so professional.
Yeah, it really starts to look like routine almost when SpaceX is doing this.
That's a T-minus 20-minute event has occurred.
And then we have the launch, or excuse me, the mission control
Yep.
center here. There's a shot of our firing room 4 there in Florida at Cape Canaveral. You can just barely make out pad 39A there in the distance there through the window. Might be wondering why all the different mission control rooms. The one in Johnson, as Ben was saying, that's really mission control for the International Space Station and those operations. The control room that you see there is for everything leading up to launch. As soon as Falcon 9 lifts off, responsibility and control transfers to the Mission Control Center here in Hawthorne. So just a quick explanation for why so many rooms with computers.
Exactly. Yeah, and in addition to all the teams gathering here, we've got teams of our own gathering in Houston.
Yeah, glad to hear Suzette.
You can see there on your screen Axiom Mission
So she's very excited.
The lovely Axiom family behind them.
So yeah, sometimes it really feels like the first time.
All right. Well, Dan mentioned that first we have launch, then we got rendezvous and docking, and then we've
got
looking
good.
Of jam-packed activity on the ISS.
So busy.
Yeah,
everything
and docking
great.
day is it's not just a ride to space, right? You get up there, you open that hatch, and crew is working. I got a little chance to look at some of their timeline, and as soon as they open that door, they are getting invited in. They are getting trained on some emergency procedures, and then stepping right into payload activities, stowage transfers.
I do remember I was quite nervous with the DM2 launch about 2 years ago. So this one feels quite easy.
Have we got the arm shakes yet by Les?
Sleep time is scheduled on the ISS. It's something that's incredible to me is that not only do you have work to do,
arm shakes.
science experiments and that kind of stuff, not only do you have to get some sleep, you also
you can see if the astronauts are nervous, they will be moving their hands around.
All right, so good news there. We have begun launch load, liquid oxygen loading on second stage. So that is currently underway for first and second stage, as well as.
Just good to have started launch load on the second stage of the rocket.
First and second stages.
Right.
Yeah, so that this doesn't happen in South Africa. Neither does it happen in Finland or the UK.
Yeah, sad.
Listening for where are we along in that timeline, so we know exactly where we are in terms for launch as we count down at just T-minus 15 from launch.
Yeah, so I'm looking at my dashboard here. It looks like fuel load on second stage is now complete.
This is where they'll start a stream for Starlink.
Third, LOX load and fuel load continues on first.
T-minus 15 minutes.
Axiom crew continuing to wait, following along with everything happening there with the touchscreen displays there above them, as well as their tablets strapped to their legs. Everything continuing to look nominal for liftoff.
So next,
you do wonder how much they paid per seat. I'm saying at least 60 million.
Yeah. Who knows? Inspiration 4 was under 200 million for the whole mission. But going to the ISS, it's much more complicated. So
because you need to pay, they'll end up need to pay some NASA some fees as well. Need to pay NASA some stuff.
Yeah.
Private commercial space station, and we're so grateful to be here.
But I think it's still lower than the NASA price. NASA price is 55 million, if I'm correct. So I think this would be somewhere in the, let's say, 30 to 40 million range.
The SpaceX team in particular has done a tremendous job of prepping our crew for a launch on their transportation vehicle. The crew itself has done a fantastic job of getting themselves ready and planning their research. NASA, of course, we can't do this without NASA's leadership and
fueling
support.
is ongoing, and the next big milestone is at T-minus 5 minutes when Dragon will go to battery power.
Yep.
minutes, 7 seconds.
Imagine like, oh no, we need to jump cables.
For launch of Falcon 9 and Dragon.
Yeah.
That'll occur 17 minutes and 12 seconds
Well,
after the hour.
I'm glad there's no
As a recap,
internal
Falcon 9
combustion
began
engine on the
propellant loading
Dragon.
in T-minus 35 minutes.
Yeah.
We just heard
Do
loading
you?
of the
They
RP
also
launch
need
fuel. The kerosene fuel
the
on stage
transport
two
erector
was
will.
completed right on time at
We're going out of
T-minus
terminal
20
count
minutes.
soon.
We've still got fuel going onto the first stage. Looks
I think that happens in around T-minus 3 minutes or so.
Yep. The transport erector will the claw, which holds the vehicle during transport to the pad, and well, it's not filled with fuel, because as it's filled with fuel, it becomes obviously more stable.
T-minus 3 minutes. The second stage, we just
Yeah.
began loading liquid oxygen.
There's, I wonder if Falcon 9 uses like hold down bolts, so it's like clamps.
No, I don't think there's any bolts, but some clamps that can easily be reused without new bolts.
As much as we can on the vehicle for performance and getting it on board the vehicle just before.
What would happen if you drunk liquid oxygen?
Well, the thing is, liquid oxygen is around minus 200 Celsius, so you would probably
your lungs would freeze.
Continuing on, Falcon 9
Freeze to
checkouts
death.
of the thrust vector controls, what we call TVC wiggles. You may hear that term. They're coming up. We're also
So
going to be
I wouldn't recommend.
See that camera at the bottom of the ramp? Do you think it's just a guy put a tripod there home and doesn't get smashed over?
Throttle down and throttle up as we prepare for the period of maximum dynamic pressure.
Do you think it's just a guy's put a tripod there?
Come up on the 12-minute mark. The range continues to be go. Roadblocks are up. All the hazard.
My stream is too small, so I can't see.
Yeah.
The weather is go. Beautiful shots you can see here. Blue skies. I'm looking forward to some great views from the cameras as we head into space. And finally on the Dragon side, the Dragon mission director and team, they're reporting no issues. We've done the communication checkouts with the crew.
We're getting there. We're close to T-minus 10.
You can see Dragon now with the
Yeah, Mr. John Innsbrucker is saying there's no issues. We are green for launch.
The launch escape system, and obviously the crew is strapped in the Dragon capsule and they're ready to go. Final instructions of the crew will come in about a minute and a half at T-minus 10. We'll listen to that. The crew displays will be configured for launch, and that setup will give the crew insight into how the launch is proceeding, and it provides constant.
Down to Starbase. Attention all personnel at the pad. They're clearing the pad for Booster 7 lift.
Transition to internal power, going to its onboard batteries.
Ah, interesting.
Ground power. We're going to hear continued callouts on the countdown net as we go from T-minus 10 to 0, and then as we fly after T0 and liftoff.
So basically, Dragon uses something like external power, such as like an APU on an aircraft,
as they reach each of the milestones.
Before it goes to internal power.
T-minus 10 minutes is we're going to do launch commit criteria and final.
Well, there's electrical connections at the strong back.
Yeah, that could possibly be what those. Yes, the transport erectors, a few leads going to the capsule. That could be electric.
Yeah, I think there's air conditioning, then there's power and all kind of telemetrics.
Wonder if there's need for heating, like heating in the capsule.
Right now, T-minus 10 minutes. Let's listen in to the countdown now.
I think it's just electricity-based heating.
Yeah. Cool displays. Let's see.
And on behalf of the entire SpaceX team, we're honored to have you aboard Endeavour for its third flight to the International Space Station. Axiom 1 marks a new step in commercial spaceflight and research. We wish you a great mission, good luck, Godspeed, and enjoy the ride.
Thanks for those words, Arthur. I've got a few of my own. I'm going to let my crewmate Eitan say it first, though.
שלום. כמה ימים לפני שאנחנו מציינים את המסע הגדול שלנו.
Shalom.
And 2 minutes before launching on this journey, I wish to share with you the words of the Greek poet Constantine Cavafy that well describe the perspective of our marvelous crew. Keep Ithaca always in your mind. Arriving there is what you are destined for, but do not hurry the journey at all. Better if it lasts for years. So you are old by the time you reach the island, wealthy with all you have gained on the way, not expecting Ithaca to make you rich. Ithaca gave you this marvelous journey.
We're not coming on engine chill as well. That is when they put, well, it says it on the can. They cool the engines for the intense heat of launch.
We do so on the shoulders of professionals at SpaceX, NASA, and Axiom. We want to thank all the teams at SpaceX, Falcon 9, Dragon, the launch team, of course, closeout team, all of the folks in mission control, and of course our training teams. With NASA, boy, it's been tough. The first time was always hard, and there's no playbook. It's all open field running, but with ISS program, commercial LEO development, and flight operations, we've learned a lot, and we'll continue to do so. We want to thank Cam and Seth for their vision, but especially all the people at Axiom for putting this mission together with the minor miracles that they perform. All of you, make no mistake, are the men and the women in the arena. Your faces are marred, if metaphorically, by the dust, sweat, and blood, and you strive valiantly. You will have no place with the cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. The crew of the great ship Endeavour is ready to sail her proudly, Arthur.
Some heartfelt words there.
Stage 1 engine chill has started.
Engine chill has begun.
We have begun to chill the engines on the first stage. So what we're doing right now is flowing a little bit of the super chilled liquid oxygen through the turbo pumps on those M1D engines. There's 9 of them at the base of the first stage. And that's essentially bringing them down to the temperature of that super chilled liquid oxygen to prevent any thermal shock to the hardware. Just before that call, some really heartfelt words from Commander MLA and Mission Specialist Eitan Stiba.
RP is complete.
Really love hearing that commentary.
Stage 1 RP load is complete.
At this point in time,
We're getting there. 2 minutes, 5 minutes.
Fuel is fully loaded.
Oh, very
on both
close
the
to it.
first and second stage. LOX loading continues on both stages.
Hey, Astro, glad to see you here. Fly safe.
5.5 minutes. Kate's let us know that we've got the fuel load complete. Next is coming up. We're T-minus 5 minutes. Dragon will be transitioning configuration for thermal count and going on its internal battery power. Everything continues to look good as we're counting down.
Right there, and configured for terminal count.
Is in configure for terminal count.
And they're pressing the tanks.
Falcon 9 tanks are pressing for strongback retracts.
All right. Looks like we
Clamps
have...
it open.
Yep. Strongback will be retracting soon.
The tanks for strongback retract. We'll hear a sequence momentarily. Strongback is retracting. Actually, that's the start of about a 1-minute sequence.
Hope you'll catch it, Astro.
That you can see there will open, and then we will see the retract from there. We've heard the call out. That's the start of the sequence. Doesn't mean that the clamp arms are late opening.
I think I can see it opening very, very slowly.
As you can hear, the excitement
Yep, that's
in
him
the crowd
opening.
is really growing here at SpaceX headquarters at Hawthorne, California. There you can see the clamp arms have begun to open. And next we should see the strong back begin to retract. This structure is what we basically use to transport the fully integrated vehicle to
Yeah, we can see it going
the
back.
hangar, from the hangar to the launch pad. And there you can see that the strong back retraction
Yep.
has begun.
There it goes.
Everything continue to look nominal as we're now under 3.5 minutes until launch.
That you have. It's crazy how fast that erector moves back. Like how fast it moves back.
First stage momentarily.
At launch.
Continuing to fill on second stage.
Yeah, it moves pretty fast.
It's obviously using hydraulics.
Yeah.
We're under 3 minutes until liftoff of the Axiom 1.
My internal count about an internal power. Let's go. Get in there, people.
All right, there we heard that Dragon is on internal power. As I was saying, we're getting
The
close.
second stage hardly
Crowds are
burns
growing.
much.
The excitement is palpable.
Does it not? Doesn't it for crew
You
launches?
see there on the left-hand side of your screen, mission
Well, it's for like 2-3 minutes at
Hawthorne,
most.
California, just behind
The
where
second stage.
John and I are. And then on the right-hand side,
Say
that
again.
looks like Axiom mission control.
See the second stage.
In Houston, Texas. Everybody's waving and
I believe that only see for crew launches only the burn on the second stage only lasts for like 2-3 minutes. Because they're not going as high in orbit as other
Yeah.
satellites.
On first stage is
Yeah.
complete. So the first stage is now fully loaded with all of its propellant. Clock's load on second stage continues.
All right, so we are about 2 minutes to launch.
Yes.
So let's see if our producer could change us to full screen.
Yep, can you change this to full screen? Mute.
All right, so there's that call. At this point in time, Falcon 9 is...
Dragon is in auto idle.
Dragon is fully loaded with all of its propellants, nearly 1 million pounds of that propellant.
Next event coming
Gas
up
closeout has started.
right
Expect
now.
venting.
The gas closeouts. We finished pressurizing the storage tanks on board the Falcon 9. They gave the crew the heads up, and they hear some loud venting noises. We're also going to vent down the liquid oxygen line that carried the LOX up to the second stage. Generates a typical large white cloud of condensation around the strong back. Big event coming up now, T-minus 1 minute, all the flight computers take over. Let's listen in to the last minute of terminal count.
FTS is armed. Falcon 9 is in startup and now controlling.
Dragon is in countdown.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
SpaceX Endeavour, we acknowledge, go for launch.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Stop. Go Falcon, go Dragon. Godspeed, Axiom 1.
Together, a new chapter begins. Godspeed AX-1.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
T-plus 38 seconds into this historic mission, flying crew on board Dragon and Falcon 9.
Power range telemetry Stage 1 throttle down.
Throttling down in the preparation for max dynamic pressure.
Falcon 9 is supersonic. Max Q. Stage 1 throttle up.
Merlin 1D engines coming back up to power.
1 Bravo. Copy, 1 Bravo.
The crew calling out 1 Bravo should a escape situation arise. It tells the Dragon flight computer what profile to fly using the Super Draco engines. But everything is looking good on Falcon 9. We're getting nominal callouts from all the engineers and a great view from the ground camera and the onboard cameras.
Invac chill underway.
Beginning to chill in the second stage turbo pump in preparation for its ignition coming up in just over half a minute from now. Coming up on about 3.5 G's acceleration for the crew. We'll begin throttling down the Merlin engines to hold that level of acceleration.
Thank you.
Next event coming up, we're going to get
Wow.
main engine cutoff
Stage
of the
1
main
throttle
engines. Get stage separation and ignition of the second stage engine.
3.5 G's. So that's 3.5 times the normal gravity on a human body. The normal,
Yeah.
well, yeah, gravity
Totally.
inverted on a
Yeah.
human body. It'd feel like 3 guys are sitting on top of you. And this second stage is when you feel weightless. Then when it ignites, the force will be crazy. I haven't saw in the capsule during launch. I mean, just noticed.
And successful separation.
Yep, great separation.
On the left, the titanium grid fins beginning to slowly deploy. Great views from the first stage camera. The first stage now begins a slow flip maneuver. You can see the white nitrogen gas plumes as we reorient for an entry back through the Earth's atmosphere a little bit later in the plus count. Second stage, we see the engine nozzle glowing red.
Everything's looking
Continue to look
great.
good on the second stage. We should be hearing call outs coming up to the crew here shortly on how the trajectory is looking.
Have you ever seen the?
Dragon SpaceX trajectory.
Have you ever seen the way that they were thinking of making the second stage reusable?
AOS Bermuda.
The second stage reusable. Well, I've seen some plans, but that would have taken
Yeah,
too
it was like
much of the
it
payload.
yeah, it was like a heat shield at the bottom.
Yep.
Then Super Dracos all around.
And then it'll come back down.
It was pretty weird.
Second stage, partway
No
through,
idea if it was one
burn
crew
to
missions.
get the crew into orbit. So Kate, 4.5 minutes in,
Yeah.
everything continues to look good.
What a absolute
What a launch.
picture perfect liftoff.
There we see the
We will
crew.
stream up to Dragon capsule separation.
Dragon Endeavor. Looks like everyone is still pretty comfy.
Is it just me, or would you want to record your reaction to launch on your iPad? You just hear woo!
Yeah.
As John mentioned, we got to about 3.5
New Hampshire,
Gs
that's
there.
UK. That's in England.
On the left-hand side of your screen, we can see the first stage as it is making its way back down to Earth. It's targeting a landing on our drone ship, a shortfall of Gravitas, which is parked a couple hundred miles off the coast
Thank
of
you,
Florida.
Asteroid, and you have a great day.
Second stage on the
Yep,
right-hand
thank you for
side.
watching.
Everything continues to be nominal there, as the MVAC engine is powering the second stage and Dragon in Denver
So we have Dragon Capsule Freedom, Endeavour.
to its targeted drop-off orbit.
I'm just trying to figure that out. and
Absolutely beautiful views of both the first and second stages.
resilience, I think one. I think one's called resilience.
Yeah, resilience, endeavor, which is this one.
Freedom.
Freedom and
First stage will execute the
Can't think of the other one.
we might not even know the last one. Or did the crew?
No,
for
Freedom.
the
Freedom was the
results?
one that was named by Crew 4, so there must be another one.
Okay, so
That's where the first stage will
well,
ignite.
there's one
the
somewhere
center
we
engine
don't really know
first,
yet.
and then a couple seconds later
Yep.
ignite 2 more
Or
engines
we have
to a total
forgotten
of 3
about.
engine burn.
Yep, chat, do
which will
you
last
know?
About 29 seconds. The entry burn slows the vehicle down significantly as it
Beautiful
re-enters
shots of
back
Earth there.
into the Earth's atmosphere. The first stage sees high drag, which scrubs roughly 70% of that velocity by the time that the landing burn begins. Stunning view where you can see the curvature of the Earth there on the left-hand side.
Dragon SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Right, so in about 25 seconds, the entry burn will start.
Yep.
There you can see the nitrogen gas thrusters. So that's the puff of gas that you see there occasionally. That's used for attitude control systems. We also utilize those grid fins that you see. There are 4 of them placed around the booster. And those grid fins also help steer for a precise landing, either at
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
How's that? Oh, there we go.
There you can see that entry burn has begun. We are targeting a landing on our drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas today.
So the entry burn slows down the booster to the correct velocity, so it can re-enter the atmosphere and not burn up.
Yeah, we can see the speed on the lower left corner. So it slows down quite a bit.
Previously, the booster was...
Stage 1 entry burn shut down.
That entry burn helps slow the booster down. It was going about 25 times the speed of sound. So we slow it
Soon
down
we are
as it
coming up on
re-enters
setting engine cut off
the dense part
1.
of the Earth's atmosphere.
Then we'll have landing of the first stage on the autonomous space, well, the autonomous spaceport or drone ship.
Yeah, Seco will be in about 20 seconds or so.
Cutoff, or SECO 1, as you see it there on the timeline.
As I say, it takes 9 minutes to get to space.
Stage 2 internal guidance.
Yep.
That's where we shut down the MBAC engine, or second engine cutoff.
Just inside the capsule just after us. I don't want to do this!
Yeah.
Note that our landing burn and
Invite shutdown.
will occur about
Let's
the same
go.
time.
Soon we're expecting landing of the first stage.
The crew inside Dragon
Oh,
and
there we
Endeavour
go. There's a landing
right-hand
bump.
side of your screen.
Tilt through the clouds.
Nice.
Landing burn has begun for the first stage.
SpaceX, nominal orbit insertion.
All right, great news.
Through the
there.
clouds.
Dragon Endeavour, nominal orbit insertion.
Looking good.
Continuous footage all the way.
Oh wow, what a view.
Landing leg deploy. SpaceX Dragon launch skip system disarmed.
What a landing view. What is that screen in the middle of the
Nice.
screen?
This Falcon 9 has landed for the 5th time. All the while, great commentary there.
Great.
While we can confirm the landing.
Soon we'll have Dragon deploy. It's just a coasting period.
Of the first stage booster, also almost simultaneously, great news.
Simply
For the
awesome.
second stage, we heard that there was nominal orbit insertion for Crew Dragon Endeavour. There you can see a live view inside our Dragon. Looks like the crew is beginning to adjust to 0G. If you look
I
at the
cannot
right-hand
see the
side
0G indicator. Where is it?
we can see the 0G indicator.
That was one of my. That was one of the things I really wanted to see what they were going to bring.
Let's see if they show
Wait
it.
to see what comes on.
Looks, I can't quite tell. Pokemon? Maybe, okay, well, hopefully it'll come into closer view.
Yeah,
But
and if not, we'll get to ask them later, hopefully.
yeah, great to see the crew here again, starting to.
You
I
may
cannot
see
see
it on
it.
the top right corner.
Microgravity.
Yeah,
Oh,
Oh, it has ears. Oh, it's a
Oh,
bunny.
it
Looks
is.
like a bunny.
I think it might be.
I
Yep.
think that's Thumper from Bambi. Love it. So right now, the second stage is basically preparing for Dragon separation.
Now that toil sell out.
The next step now that, as we said, Dragon.
That toil sell out within minutes.
The second stage and
It
Dragon
certainly will.
Always does.
Use there
Yeah.
of our MVAC engine now shut off. No longer glowing that lovely shade of orange.
We're coming up on Dragon Deploy, then that'll be us for today.
Right now, the
Oh, that's inside the trunk. They do not carry cargo inside the trunk on crewed missions because our boat scenarios.
Stage separation. Or, excuse me, for Dragon separation. For those of you that
I'm sure they could have some cargo with them.
Of the Axiom 1
In the trunk, I don't know, as I said, because they are boats.
and
Yeah,
coming up to
could be.
separation from second stage, at which point they will then begin to make their journey, continue their journey to the International Space Station.
Right, we're coming up a few seconds. We're getting there, we're getting there.
That you're currently looking at is
We have Dragon Deploy. Welcome to space, Axiom 1.
Nice views. There we go.
On behalf of the Falcon 9 team, welcome to space. Thanks for flying Falcon 9. You guys enjoy your trip to that wonderful space station in the sky. Do some great research for us. We'll look to see you back
I
here.
see these words for LD, then we'll jump out.
Some words from LD.
And
Let's listen in.
And the rest of the crew Endeavor, glad we got to have some fun this morning. We'll probably be calling it an early weekend over here at the Cape. Pass you over to Anna and the team. You'll be in good hands. Godspeed, Endeavor. Enjoy the rest of your flight. Cheers.
Hey, Mark, it was a lot of fun. I venture to guess we had a little bit more than you did. We thank you and your launch team, Girth, you and the Falcon 9 team.
That's the next 10 days. Oh, about 8 days on station. Right, that'll be us for today, I think.
All right, some nice words there from a couple of.
Oh, we see the bonnet.
Yeah, I think the stream may end fairly soon, but we can watch for a while.
There we can
expected loss of signal, Bermuda and New Hampshire.
There we can see
Yep.
Dragon Endeavor on its way to the International Space Station. It has separated. There's a view
Dragon
inside.
SpaceX, we had nominal dehumidifier activation, service section Draco.
Did well.
There we can see over the shoulder of
SpaceX Endeavor, we copy, Arthur.
Over the shoulder, previously Commander MLA was on the left, and
I'm good to
pilot Larry Connor was on the right. Live view inside the cabin. They just got the okay to lift their visors.
They're in space. Let's go.
Yeah, there we can see the
All right. So we can see that everyone
zero G indicator.
We can see
It looks like a bunny.
indicator floating around. Great view there of Dragon Endeavor. Now in space with the Axiom 1 crew on their way to the International Space Station.
Yeah, I mean, this is a day of firsts. You know, this is my first time getting to participate in a launch like this. This is the first for Axiom. I mean, this is a first for spaceflight. And it's just wonderful to see such a picture perfect launch.
It really was.
We saw the landing and we saw orbital or zero G insertion at the same time. I mean, that was perfect.
Yeah.
It was wonderful to see. All right, well, as I just said, today's launch is one for the history books. So to punctuate this milestone that NASA and commercial companies are able to achieve together, we go now to Kennedy Space Center, where Megan Cruz is with NASA's Kathy Leaders.
I'm here right now with the Associate Administrator of NASA's Space Operations Mission Director. It's so great to have you here, Kathy. What did you think of the launch?
Oh my gosh, it's always like, you know, right in the bottom of my throat. I'm holding, can't breathe.
Yes.
But what a beautiful,
Right, Jack.
beautiful sight.
So do you want to continue this stream or not? I'm gonna have to go.
I'm done anyway. That was a picture perfect launch. And I think that's a good point to stop.
The engine cut off. You always want to hear that
Yeah,
second stage.
I
Right.
agree.
Yep. Cut to me. Just quickly.
Each of these stages,
Oh, yep.
and we need to just keep carefully working through the different.
Right. Thank you everyone for watching this launch of a historic mission, Axiom 1. Please join us at Total Space again. Thank you as always to Miko for joining me. Just thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day or night, and Ad Astra.